I'm a lecturer right now, but I'm also a part-time personal trainer, and I used to be a full-time personal trainer back when before I got my full-time faculty position.
Okay, great. How did you get into personal training?
So it started when I first started my master's degree. I'd always been interested in fitness, but I came here from a master's degree, came to Texas State for a master's degree, and immediately got certified in early January. I got certified from NASM, National Academy of Sports Medicine, and I got certified from them, and then immediately started looking for jobs while I was a grad student, and within a month I got hired to personal train at the rec center on campus. And so once I got into that, I just kind of kept going from there, and my personal training practical experience plus gaining an education in exercise science helped a lot with why I progressed and kept doing it for a long time.
Right. So how did you go from like personal training, being hired like at the rec, to just doing it?
Privately
Yeah.
or individually. So I was training at the rec, and then I got requests from another company called Total Wellness to train with them. So I started training for two different companies at the same time in two different locations on campus, actually. And the problem was the clients I was having were connected to Texas State. They were either current students or staff or faculty. So when those current students were graduating, they were requesting that they wanted to keep me as a trainer, but didn't have a membership to the rec anymore. So then the only option was for me to develop a note in my contract and decide what my pricing was going to be, and then I went to their house and actually trained at their homes. But the reason that I switched from, or the reason that I added that on, because I kept my other jobs and then did that as well on the side. So when I was doing that, the reason that happened is because I just got requests. I mean, I had requests from about 3 clients that asked me to come to their homes and train them, and so then once that started, I took off with it.
That's pretty good. Well, how many clients do you work with, like, at a time?
Right now, I've only had 2 since I've had this full-time position. Back when I was full-time, there was a time where I had 19 different clients. And so that obviously is extremely tough.
Right.
Not gonna lie, that is a rough job, just hours-wise, because your schedule is based on their schedule. So, and the other thing is, if you're gonna be in my opinion, if you're gonna be a respectable and decent personal trainer, you have to legitimately make workouts for each individual, as opposed to trying to go, okay, I'm gonna create this workout and this is what we're gonna use this week for all my clients. So I was not one of those people. So there are a lot of personal trainers that do that, but I feel that that's kind of takes the personal out of personal trainer if you don't develop a program specifically for the individual you're interacting with. So.
And do you sometimes struggle with like making up a workout for your different clients?
When I first started early on, it was challenging. It was challenging to be creative and know what was going to work.
Right.
Because the problem is you have to develop a rapport with each client. So an exercise that you find is beneficial for everyone, and there's a lot of exercises out there that are beneficial for everyone, but something you find that's good for one person is not always good for the other. Knee pain, back tightness that day, an injury that occurred between the last session and this session. So those things develop challenges even if you plan a workout and type it out and it's all perfect. When you get on the spot, you don't know what you're going to be dealing with that day. Every day brings a new challenge, and so you have to be able to then change on the fly really, really well. And that's the early on, that's the biggest challenge to this field, is that even if you're really educated and you've developed great individual workouts for all your clients, nothing says that day that those workouts are going to be good for that client. So it just becomes very difficult at times. But I think that coming up with exercises is relatively easy. That's the easy part. The hard part is knowing what days to set those exercises for, and whether those exercises are going to be good for what clients are going to be good for certain exercises.
What impact has this job, personal training, has had in your life?
On my life, first and foremost, since I was getting an education and I teach now in exercise science, the biggest impact it has is that I think it gives me an edge in the classroom, because my students know that I have been in the field and I'm currently still in the field working and applying all of these concepts that I teach them. So I apply them every day to other people's lives, and I am constantly trying to improve upon my personal training, and the only way you improve is to gain more education. And so the more I learn, the better I become in both aspects of my life. But as far as how it's impacted me overall, it definitely justifies all of the effort that I put into getting a degree and gives my life extra meaning. So not that my life would be meaningless without it, but it gives me an extra meaning. It gives me the ability to go, I have seen improvements in this person, and this individual used to have her husband put on her shoes and tie them for her, and now she can tie her shoes, she can put them on, she can get in and out of the bathtub, up and down off the ground. So those kind of changes are the biggest changes that I look for. So the positive effect that it has on other people's lives is a huge benefit to the person that's lucky enough to help them with that.
Right. And what are some pros and cons of personal training?
Pros, definitely the positive effect you have on other people's lives. Huge pro. The pro, if you're doing independent training, is money. I'm not gonna lie. If you're doing independent training and you're going to their houses, they'll pay you a high price to go out there and train, and that it's helpful. It keeps you motivated to go out there. Money's not the only. It can't be the only motivation, but it is motivating on those days where it's tough. You know that there's an income coming in, especially when you're in grad school. It's super helpful. So the biggest pro I would say is the benefit to the other people, but on the con side, your schedule is based on everyone else. That is the worst part, is that people go to work from 8 to 5. That means that they have time to train before 8 o'clock and after 5 o'clock. So if you have a job or a class or anything else in between that 8 to 5, you know you're doing that 8 to 5, and then before and after, you have to have time dedicated to all those clients. So that's definitely by far the worst part, is that you're at the mercy of their schedule, and sometimes they don't show up, and so you now have a huge waste of time and all that stuff. So it becomes very frustrating. But that's the worst part.
And on average, like, how much do you charge? I guess, like, with your different when you was working at the rec, and then when you got hired with, like, how much did you charge?
So personal training at the rec center and personal training at Total Wellness, both of them are cheaper than you'd find personal training anywhere else, and the trainers don't set the rates. So we're paid an hourly wage. We basically are paid per session. But we also don't sell anything. They come up, they sign up for sessions, and then they assign that client to a trainer that they feel is the best fit. And so the job is very low stress because you just come in and train. That's all you do. You don't sell, you don't work on package production, things like that. And so at the rec center, you can get some packages as low as $16 a session, which is absurdly cheap.
Right.
Half the price of any of the cheapest you'll find anywhere, any gym in the world. I would guarantee that. Total Wellness is similar. They'll charge typically anywhere from $25 to $30 a session, depending on your longevity with the program and how long you've been doing it and how many sessions you buy. The more sessions you buy, the cheaper per session it gets with every facility. So if you go in someone's house, you have to then decide what your price is, because I get to pick my price then. So I decide what is an hour of my time worth, how much gas am I spending there, how much equipment am I going to invest in because if they're limited at their house. So, and then there's a time commitment. So I may train them for an hour, but it takes me 30 minutes to get there, 30 minutes to get back. That's 2 hours of my day, and they need to pay me for 2 hours of my day plus my gas. Does that make sense? And so in order for me to justify going out there, I would need to be paid 2 hours of work for what they perceive to be 1 hour of work. Does that make sense? So that's why your rates can go up, because if you're serving them and going to their house, then your rates go up quite a bit. And I've charged anywhere from $45 a session with pairs training to $85 a session for individual session, and that's mainly due to time commitment of driving and gas. So it's going to vary. If you're traveling there, the price is going to vary a lot. And the main thing is when you build your contract, you make it very clear as to what's your price per mile, what's your price for gas, how do you justify all these costs, and if you show that to them, typically they're pretty understanding of why the cost is so high.